Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for your leadership. Thanks to all of you for getting up too early in the morning, being here, and for supporting Gypsy and for doing everything all of you do for our great city. Thanks to Gypsy for just being there. Sometimes quiet, sometimes active, but it's always focused on solving the opportunities and the problems that we have as a city. Thanks to those who lost their mind for a minute and nominated me for all they've already done and will continue to do. And then you're looking at a guy who has 35 years of working for wonderful employers, Baker & Daniels, Bakery Baker & Daniels, and Lacey Diversified Industries. The lawyers are old friends and new friends, and wonderful people. It's a great law firm. And I benefited from 20 years of the firm saying, yes, it's great if you do that. They were enabling and supporting of civic work, in part under Chuck's leadership, but always. And I could not have had a better second act, as it were, for civic service than LDI, because Andre, his sister Margot, rest her soul, and all the family and the employees of LDI have been nothing but supportive of the efforts that that company and that family have been contributors to the civic fabric for the better part of this, well, now over a century. And I'm just grateful to both Bakery Baker & Daniels and LDI for giving me the opportunity to spend time on the civic front. I need to say a thank you to friends. All of you are friends in one way or the other. Some of the friends, some of them are in the room, you know who you are still subject to mutual non-disclosure agreements over the years, and I'm grateful you're still honoring those. Others are in the category of just good friends and great citizens, but it is important to understand that you reflect where you come from. If you come from a place like Indianapolis where we're all friends and we all work together, it's a lot easier to do that kind of work. And then thanks for letting me have more. But I always get choked up when I think of him. You know, she, in addition to raising 2 children and doing more than I've done in the community, if I was having to argue a case for her being a saint, I'd simply rest my case with the fact that for the better part of a decade, Steve Goldsmith was her day job and I was her nighttime. So you agree. And then let me talk for just a second about Chuck Whistler. I knew him for 7 years, worked for him for 6 directly. I would echo everything Steve Terry, well, everything everybody said in the video. The day after Murray called, I got up and looked in the mirror channeled Lloyd Benson at me and said, "Shane, you knew Whistler and you're no Whistler." He was an amazing man in all the ways that the video reflected, a true servant leader. He could be powerful when he needed to be, but his core was caring. I can remember a number of Saturday mornings early, and Chuck would come in with the trail of young Cub Scouts behind him, sometimes in their slickers, sometimes in their work gear. And he'd put them in the partners conference room, where back in that day, no associate, that's where I was ever could even go in the partners conference room. But he'd take the Cub Scouts in there, and it was sort of a first contact with how you save lives, because that's what he was doing, and he cared enough to do that, even at that level. He'd be very happy, I think I can speak knowing him, he'd be very happy with where the city is now, with all the things that have happened since his untimely death, through all the good mayors we've had, and with all the people that have been working together. And then let me just spend 1 minute on education. talking with Helene Cross earlier. She's a good example. Gene Ziegler, John Neighbors, there are many of you in the room that could just as easily be standing here talking about this, and more importantly, have actually been doing it. Saving lives, one at a time. Education is an area that used to be optional, no longer is. And it used to be one we could think about statistically, but now, at least from my humble notion, we have to think about it as one life at a time. And at that level, it becomes a moral issue. And we've got to just keep pushing at it. Chuck would say it's a perfect time for having clear eyes, not blaming, but not faking, and getting on with the business of figuring out where the future needs to be to help continue to save the lives of people and thus the lives of the community. It's one of those things that fits the phrase, if you can get it done in your lifetime, it's not worth working on. And having failed at it for 25 years, I'm sure the work will outlast me. It's just the future, and I'm just grateful to everybody for continuing to do that kind of work. Now, Chuck taught me one other thing. Well, he taught me many things, but among them, he did this indirectly, but one day a junior partner, Chuck and I were working on a project. I handed in what I consider to be an absolutely brilliant memorandum on the law and the facts, and the junior partner called me into his office and pulled out a white piece of paper, took out a pencil, we used those in those days, and he put a dot on the piece of paper. He said, "David, what is that?" And I said, "It's a dot." And he said, "No, it's not. It's a period. It's intended to bring an end to your words. Use it. Learn to use it." So with thanks for everything you're doing and have done and will continue to do for our wonderful home. Thank you very much.